Maya Carter had always known that hard work and persistence were the keys to achieving her dreams. As the founder and CEO of a tech company that had recently made a breakthrough, Maya had overcome countless obstacles to reach her position in the business world. This flight, from New York to Zurich, was meant to be the culmination of months of negotiation, a final step towards securing a partnership that would take her company to new international heights. It should have been a moment of celebration, a brief respite before tackling the next phase of her entrepreneurial journey. The luxury of first class was one of the few indulgences Maya allowed herself, and as the plane ascended, she settled into her seat, relishing the comfort of the plush leather. The hum of the engines provided a soothing backdrop to her thoughts, and through her window, she could see the golden hues of the setting sun painting the sky in breathtaking colors. It was the kind of tranquility she had earned after years of late nights, sacrifice, and perseverance. But serenity, it seemed, would not last long. A commotion at the front of the cabin snapped Maya from her peaceful state. She raised an eyebrow as two women entered the first-class section. The taller one, a platinum blonde with perfectly styled hair, walked with an air of arrogance that suggested she was accustomed to having the world cater to her every whim. Evelyn Stokes, as Maya would soon learn, was exactly the type of person who believed that entitlement gave her the right to demand anything. Behind her, a quieter woman, clearly uncomfortable with the tension, trailed reluctantly. Evelyn's eyes immediately swept across the cabin, scanning for a seat. When she saw Maya sitting in 1A, she paused, her gaze narrowing with an expression that bordered on disdain. Maya could feel the moment Evelyn's eyes locked onto her, an unspoken judgment that hinted at the assumption that Maya didn't belong in this seat. "Excuse me," Evelyn said sharply, her tone thick with condescension. "There's been a mistake with the seating. This seat is supposed to be mine." Maya raised an eyebrow, confused but unperturbed. "I'm afraid this is my seat," she said calmly. "I booked it weeks ago." Evelyn's lips twisted into a forced smile. "Well, I'm a Platinum Elite member. I always get priority seating," she said, her voice dripping with entitlement. "You might be more comfortable elsewhere." The words stung, but Maya remained unfazed. She had encountered people like Evelyn before, people who saw her skin color, her gender, and made assumptions about her worth based on their narrow perceptions. But Maya knew better than to let their ignorance dictate her actions. She calmly picked up her boarding pass and handed it to the flight attendant, confirming once again that this seat was indeed hers. The flight attendant, uncertain, hesitated as he scanned Maya's boarding pass. His eyes flicked back and forth between Maya and Evelyn. Maya remained calm, unwavering, as the attendant confirmed the seat assignment. Evelyn's smile faltered, her frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "I'm not sure you understand who I am," Evelyn sneered. "I don't sit anywhere else but in first class. I demand that you make accommodations for me." Maya held her ground, her voice even and steady. "I've paid for this seat. If you want to speak with someone, we can call the supervisor." The air between them thickened. Evelyn's companion tugged nervously at her arm, trying to de-escalate the situation. But Evelyn was determined to have her way. She walked toward the front of the cabin, her heels clicking sharply against the floor as she stormed past Maya. The flight attendant, having no choice but to uphold the rules, exchanged a brief, apologetic glance with Maya before retreating to deal with the other passenger. Maya, remaining resolute in her seat, took a deep breath. This wasn't over, she knew. And just as she had faced challenges in boardrooms and business deals, this moment too would pass, on her terms. As Maya resumed flipping through her notes, the door to the front of the cabin opened, signaling the arrival of a new passenger. Evelyn, with her companion in tow, had apparently convinced another flight attendant that there had been a mistake with the seat assignment. And now Maya found herself facing yet another attempt at intimidation. "Is there an issue here?" the flight attendant asked as he approached, his voice tinged with nervousness. Evelyn wasted no time launching into her complaint, painting herself as the victim of a major inconvenience. Maya, however, remained composed. "No issue," Maya replied coolly. "This is my seat. I booked it, and I'm not moving." The flight attendant tried to mediate, offering alternative seating options. But Evelyn, growing more aggressive, continued to argue, insisting that her status as a frequent flyer meant she should be prioritized above all else. "I don't care about your status," Maya said, her voice calm but firm. "I paid for this seat, just like everyone else. If the airline made a mistake, that's not my problem." As Evelyn's temper flared, Maya's calm presence seemed to disarm her. But instead of backing down, Evelyn decided to escalate the situation further. She threatened to take legal action and involve corporate, her voice dripping with venom as she demanded to speak with someone higher up. Maya, unshaken, reached for her phone. She dialed the corporate line for the airline, speaking with an air of quiet authority that sent a ripple of unease through the staff. She was no ordinary passenger, and she had no intention of letting anyone push her around. "I'm on flight 827 to Zurich," Maya said succinctly, detailing the issue at hand. "I'm being harassed by a fellow passenger and mistreated by the staff. I demand accountability, not just for myself, but for everyone who has ever been treated this way." The tension in the cabin grew as Maya's calm phone call continued. The flight attendants exchanged nervous glances as Evelyn's anger reached a boiling point. But Maya remained composed, confident that the situation would soon be handled. Her quiet defiance was her weapon, and she wielded it with grace. Moments later, two corporate representatives arrived at the cabin. Their presence was enough to send a chill through the flight attendants, who now realized the seriousness of the situation. As the representatives quietly spoke with the staff, it became clear that the airline was taking immediate action. Within minutes, both the flight attendant and the supervisor were escorted off the plane. Evelyn, unable to believe the turn of events, lashed out, but her anger only deepened her isolation. The passengers, who had witnessed the entire ordeal, seemed to collectively breathe a sigh of relief. Evelyn was removed from the flight as well, her Platinum Elite status revoked on the spot, after her conduct was deemed unacceptable. The corporate representatives made it clear that her behavior violated the airline's code of conduct, and her actions had consequences. Maya's calm resolve had turned what seemed like a simple confrontation into a turning point for the airline. This wasn't just about one seat or one flight. It was a message that entitlement and privilege, no matter how deep-rooted, would not be tolerated. Weeks later, the airline publicly announced new diversity and inclusivity training for all staff, along with stricter policies on how customer disputes would be handled. The incident on Flight 827 became an unspoken example of how entitlement and injustice were no longer acceptable, especially when people like Maya Carter were willing to stand up and demand respect. For Maya, the victory wasn't in the removal of Evelyn or the crew members who had failed to stand up for what was right. It was in the knowledge that she had forced a change, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been overlooked, dismissed, or treated unfairly. The power of quiet resolve, the strength to stand firm, had changed the narrative on that flight forever. And as the plane lifted into the night sky, Maya leaned back into her seat, her mind already turning to the next challenge. But for now, she could take pride in knowing that the world was just a little bit more fair because she refused to let anyone take what was rightfully hers.